Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Secrets to Real Estate Investing. And today we've got an awesome gentleman that I just heard speak at Justin Williams' Flip Hacking Live event a couple of weeks ago. And I was so impressed with him and his life story and accomplishments. I couldn't wait to have him on my podcast to have him share his life story and experience and inspire all of you. So with that, welcome to the show, Mr. Mark Dennis.
Thank you very much, Holly. It's a pleasure to be here.
So glad that you took time out of your busy schedule there. Hey, would you give our listeners an inside look at your background and your very fascinating life story?
Sure, absolutely. So I had the good fortune of playing in the NFL for about 10 years. That was what I did for the first 10 years of my working life. I went and played football at University of Illinois and got drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and I played there for 7 years and played a year in Cincinnati, and then I also played 2 years with the Carolina Panthers. So I started over 60 games and a bunch of playoff games, and so it was a great way to make a living. Like right out of school, it was like it's truly living a dream.
Awesome. I always think professional athletes have this big risk of getting injured and having their whole livelihood just vanish in a second. Was that a concern for you, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the NFL, there's a 100% injury rate in the NFL. That's just the way it is. At some point during every season, you get hurt. And actually, at the end of my second year, I completely blew out my knee, and that could have been the end of it. Really, it was that off season. After I rehabbed it, the following off season, I actually went back and got my MBA while I was playing in the NFL over the next few years, and I was always trying to. It always seemed like my pretend life, and so I was trying to prepare myself as well as I could for life, because the reality is it's going to, 10 years is a long career, and at some point it's going to end. You just don't ever know exactly when it's going to end. So, yep, it's a very real prospect, and we tried to mitigate it as much as possible.
Awesome. So you got an MBA then? You completed that?
I did, yeah.
Awesome.
I've got an MBA from Florida International University, yeah. So.
Wow, congratulations. So when your pro football career came to an end, what did you do next?
So, actually, the last 2 years I was playing in the NFL, in the off season, I was working as a commercial real estate agent. And I was trying to get a local company called Comdisco, who they've since gone bankrupt. But I was trying to get them as a client. And one of the executives there that I was talking to said, you're not going to get our business because we have long-term relationship, but we really like you and we want to hire you. So I ended up going to work for them for about 4 years. I've got a background in finance, and so they were a technology leasing company. So I spent quite a bit of time doing different special projects sort of around technology leasing. And we actually built an online marketplace early when the internet just sort of was taken off. And so it was a lot of fun stuff. After that, I left there and had my own small sort of CFO in a box business for small businesses for a few years. And then I also, I shut that down, and I ended up working in corporate jobs for several years in commercial real estate or finance or in that area. And I was trying to find something that I loved as much as football, and I never found it until I got fully all the way into real estate.
Okay, and then what happened next, and how did you discover residential real estate and
Sure.
what you're doing now?
Yeah, so my wife and I started buying rentals for our own account back in 2012. And that was a learning process. She came by it sort of naturally in that her dad had actually started buying rental properties in Denver in the late 70s and early 80s. So when she was little young, I've got a 4-year-old, so she goes on a bunch of job sites with me now. So when my wife Kathy was that age, she was doing the same thing with her dad. So she had a background in it. We started buying rentals and just didn't really know what we were doing, and kind of figured it out along the way. And as we tried to continue to grow our portfolio, we ended up finding deals that really were best suited as flips. So That's sort of where that part of the business came in. And I did just enough on the side that made it like, gosh, I really wish I could do this full time. And so that's sort of how I came to it.
Interesting. So tell us about your first flip, your first deal.
You know what? It was a deal where we knew the person that owned the property, and he had inherited it from his parents, and one reason or another had failed to pay the property taxes, and he was about to lose it to a property tax sale.
Oh,
And it was he the house was in kind of rough shape and hadn't been cared for, and there was a lot of stuff in there. Well, I won't go so far as to say it was a hoarder house, but there was a lot of stuff in there. And so what we did is we went out and we marketed it as an off-market property, found a buyer for it. And so it was it would be equivalent to doing a wholesale. What everybody talks about a wholesale today, because we ended up selling it to a retail buyer at a discount. But in the process, we were able to make $20,000 without really ever. We did this was far enough back that we did a dry close. We did a double close and did a dry close in the first one. So we had no money in the deal and walked away with a check at the end of the day for $20,000. And sort of like light bulbs started going off like, wow, this is fun and profitable.
so did you do anything to the house?
So I tried. So the real estate contract that we were using said I had to leave it in broom swept condition, kind of standard terminology. I thought I might be able to get away with it a little bit less than that. It didn't go so well. So I had to hold back at closing. And when it was all said and done, we went and I'm like, I'll clean it up. No problem. I hired a couple guys. When it was all said and done, we ended up taking 3 dumpsters full of stuff out there. It was amazing how much stuff was stuffed into the nooks and crannies. So yeah, we took 3 dumpsters of stuff out there and got it into broom swept condition.
Okay, but you didn't do any repairs. You just
No,
got the trash out.
just got
So
the trash out.
$20,000 with no money in the deal. That is an awesome first
Isn't that a
story.
great deal? It's a great way
I
to.
love it. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Cool. And was this deal, you're in Chicago now, right?
We're in Chicago.
And
Yep.
is that where the deal was too?
It was. Yeah,
Okay.
It was one of the Chicago suburbs.
Okay, interesting. And how many deals have you done since that time, would you say?
Well, this last year we did about 20 deals, and so it was kind of slow going from there. And very honestly, the conversation went around like, geez, I wish I could do this full time, and it was a little bit scary. And we were going out on looking at a lot of houses, going out on MLS. Anytime it was a deal, it was already under contract by the time we got there. Geez, what do we need to do to find those deals beforehand? That's sort of where you come across the idea of marketing and doing direct mail. Wow, doing that's a big commitment. That's when, in all honesty, I had a really cool God moment at church where I physically felt like I got punched in the stomach, and it was really made clear to me that I needed to be doing this full time. And I wrestled against it, and finally, about 6 months later, I was actually in it full time. And so we started marketing, and this goes back about 2 years now. We started marketing, doing direct mail. Started our first mail list was out to absentee owners, and holy smokes, people actually started calling us back, and had to figure it out on the fly. And it's been sort of nonstop since then.
That's awesome. So I love that you're a spiritual man, because I'm a religious person too, and I think that's great. So you really felt led to do this.
And so it was it truly our belief in God and Jesus is the foundation of our business, and it is really a major part of what our why is, building a business that brings glory to God and helps us to to fund the kingdom by faithfully tithing.
I love it. That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
no matter what someone's religion is, I mean, I just have so much respect for you, and that you can publicly state that. That's fantastic. And it makes me, want to do business with someone like you all the more, because you're going to have a lot stronger ethics and probably moral code than some of the people out
Sure.
there. So I think
Sure.
that's great that you put that out there, and it probably makes sellers excited to do business with you too. They're going to be a lot more comfortable with you than some shyster shark out
Sure. Yeah.
to get
I
in.
think it's helped us. I think it's helped us in certain situations where it was, apples to apples. And so that's an intangible that, you know what, I carry it on my, I wear it on my sleeve pretty comfortably, and I'm pretty out there and open about it, with pretty much everybody that I do business with. And so I'm comfortable with that.
I love it. All right. Why don't you tell us, if you don't mind sharing, maybe what one of your least profitable or worst deals that you've ever done is, or maybe you learned more than you made more.
So fortunately, it wasn't a big loss, but a big part of this business is trying different things. Hey, does this work? Does that work? And I had an opportunity in one of the northern suburbs of Chicago that's a very high end neighborhood, and it was a big house that was a tear down house. And in this neighborhood, it was it was a tear down that was $700,000 tear down, because the houses that they're putting up around there are $3 million houses. And so I had a great rapport with the property owners, and I put a fair amount of earnest money down, a couple $1,000s, and the trick for me, I had plenty of time. The trick for me was finding the right buyer. That's where you run into the rub here, is finding the right buyer doesn't always agree with a finite timeline. And so I basically got to a point where I wasn't going to find a buyer in the time that I needed to, and there was some escalating earnest money over time as well. And so at some point, I had a very direct conversation with the sellers, sort of stepped aside from the attorneys, and said, "Here's the deal. I'm like, it's just not going to work." I needed to let them have the earnest money. So that was a painful experience, but it was very profitable for me, because now it helps me realize, like, geez, you know what? That's not the space that I want to play in. The space that I want to play in, and that's profitable for me. And for me here in Chicago right now is sort of an ARV of 250 or below. And we're looking for and building projects for first time home buyers.
Okay. And so I would say, from what you said, that's at or below the median home price in the area then, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think the median home price is probably closer to 350, 400.
All right. So then do you have a lot more demand in that price point than you would if you were at a higher price point? Is that why you stick to that?
So yeah, so here in Chicago, if you're at $1 million or more, there's a couple years of inventory that's out there. Part of it is the economy here. Part of it is our government. There's a pretty big exodus of higher income people out of Illinois. So that $1 million range is just sitting. If you go down sort of into the next section of, let's say, 400 to $1 million, there you're dealing with a little bit different buyer, and they're really, really picky in those houses. There's a lot of seasonality to it. And so those houses are moving a little bit slower. Their days on market is slower. Where I found a lot of success here in Chicago is at like I said, about the 250 or below market. Those houses, I would say my average days on market is right around 30 days. And the thing is that at that price point, there's no new inventory that's come on the market, because the builders, the ground up builders, cannot make money building there right now. Those same properties are properties that oftentimes we call them grandma houses, right? That it's an older person or couple that are either moving out or have passed away, and the house needs to be updated. It's a good, solid house. So what we really concentrate on is on the inside. They're in good neighborhoods, typically with good schools. On the inside, when you walk in, your experience is that of new construction.
Wow.
And on the outside, it's still an older house, but it's a good, solid house in a good neighborhood.
Yeah, I love it. I love that business plan. Was that business plan easy for you up front, or did it take you a bit of trial and error before you
It's a bit of try.
settled down?
It's a little bit of trial and error, and finding out what's selling, what's not selling. Part of my first year in the business, I worked basically as an acquisitions manager for a real estate fund, and they were doing higher end stuff. And as I was out acquiring stuff for them, and I and seeing what happened to it, so I kind of pushed them down the hill as well. And so I don't work with them anymore. We have a great relationship, and I still sell some houses to them. But so I got to learn on somebody else's dime. That was helpful as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think that's a great way to go, that you can learn the business on someone else's dime, getting paid to
Right.
learn it. That's awesome. And now you
Yeah.
sell homes to them, so
Yeah.
it still works. Yeah, I met another couple of guys at the same event that we were at Justin Williams' event, and they, would tie up houses and sell them to a hedge fund. They just have their whole little pipeline.
Right.
That was in Alabama, I think. So yeah, that's cool. Great. Love it.
All you gotta do is find that one good buyer, right?
Yep, just takes one. Yeah, okay. Well, so we talked about your first deal and your learning deal, or maybe your worst deal. Tell us
Hmm.
about your best deal.
Well, you know what? I would say the two best ones. My best actual flip is one that I'm going to close on Monday. It's a deal that we got from word of mouth, personal networking. We were able to get it at a good price, and it was I've heard this term a while back as a CPA, right? It's a carpet paint appliances. So it's a CPA flip, and we're going to end up making about $70,000 on that flip. So yeah, that's going to be our gross profit number. That blows me away, and it's really exciting, and it kind of spoils you, right? Because that's sort of your bar, right? Then you go looking for $70,000 deals, and the reality is that that's not going to happen all the time. But boy, we keep looking for them.
Right. And then you appreciate him and you're
Oh
thankful
yeah,
for him, right?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that is awesome. I'm so excited for you that happened. I've never heard that term. CPA. I like that.
CPA
I'm going to
flip, right?
start using that. Out here they just call it paint and carpet, but I like that, CPA. I
Yeah,
used to be a
CPA flip.
CPA, but nothing with that. So that's cool.
And in all seriousness, probably one of the most exciting things about this flip is my acquisitions manager. It was through her network that it came to her, so she's going to get a double share on her commission off this project, and that's going to be that's going to be a significant number, and I'm excited to write that check for her.
That's awesome. And it's going to motivate her to try and get more, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
what gets rewarded gets repeated. That's how, whether it's you're training a child or a dog or an acquisition center or whatever, the
Right.
more you reward your people, the more they're going to do it. So that's awesome. That's great that you know that and you act on that. Okay, so that was one of your best deals. Tell us about like how your business has transitioned and what you're focusing on and working on now too.
Sure. So, we started off doing, like I said, doing direct mail. We over the last 6 months have really we've transitioned out of doing direct mail and doing exclusively online advertising. So the big thing there is when you're doing direct mail, you're mailing to a specific demographic and hoping to find motivation. When you're doing the online advertising, you're marketing to motivation, and you have to figure out ways to monetize the situations that come at you.
Hmm.
Um, we have found that for us, it's a much better model to market to motivation, and we've gotten more deals off of less leads, and they've been more profitable. And so we're working on building out some more ways to monetize different situations that we come across, so that we don't just have to like not use those at all. But that's been the biggest change I would say over the last 6 months. The other thing I would say is as we've seen the market increase, it's harder to purchase a property that you can wholesale. Because sellers realize that they can get more than before, and so we saw that happen this summer where we were in a house, and I recognized that gosh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get this house at a price that will make sense that I could turn around and sell it to another rehabber, but I can do the rehab myself and make a $25,000 profit. At that point, I wasn't doing very many rehabs. So I said, well, you know what, we'll do it. And I gave her I negotiated as low a price as I knew she could go. And then I left and I started making phone calls and finding a private lender that would work with us.
Great. That's awesome. So have you finished that deal, or are you still
Yep,
doing
that
it?
deal. Yeah, that deal was. We were, that was a carpet paint appliance. We were in and out of there in 2.5 weeks,
Wow.
and had it on the market. And again, it was a good price point. It was $135,000, and 4-bedroom house on a little lot. And we got it under contract in about 30 days. What we realized though was we had a 90-day hold problem because it was an FHA loan.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's a little
I've
bit
had that many times.
right. And so we tried to work around it. Hey, we'll rent it to you until and that buyer, I think, had some buyer's remorse. And so she just canceled the deal. Okay, no problem. We put it back on the market and had it under contract in 5 days to a cash buyer. And it ended up working out great. So, but again, for them, the cash buyer was a company that is going to use it as a rental.
Yeah, because
So,
probably the rents are pretty good for.
yeah, it's a college town too as well. So, with just that, we made, we were able to do that and make $25,000 gross profit margin, and let's do a bunch of those.
Fantastic. Yeah, thankfully, I've been in this business almost 10 years, and we had that 90-day flip rule a lot that would,
Mm-hmm.
impact us. So if you're lucky enough to get the rehab done fast and get it back out there. But now, at least here in California, we have a lot of conventional loan products that also have a really low down
Low down,
requirement.
yeah.
But, we run into the issue of FHA takes lower credit scores than some of the conventional programs that are available to us here.
Right.
So I had that same thing. I had someone waiting in the wings on it was a $200,000 house, which is low price, is inland an
Sure.
hour or two from here. And I had that person waiting, in the wings for that 90 day, but someone else came in earlier with conventional. So like, oh, well, sorry, you guys lost it.
Sure. So we had that situation again a little bit later on. And what we did was we signed the contract and they did the inspection. So naturally they come back to you with, here's what we want from the inspection. And so I used that opportunity to say, okay, here's the deal. We're going to run into this problem. I'll agree to those things, but you have to agree to re-sign the contract. And, it was like in 15 or 18 days, so that it's on day 91 in order for me to do that. And so that worked out well.
That's a great strategy. Great tip, listeners. I've never heard that one. That's really good, because I've never gone through the inspection in advance. We just say, hey, we'll write up a contract, but know that we've got to redo a new contract on day 91. But I love that, doing the inspection, getting them all committed.
Yeah, you got to get them. They got to mentally put their furniture in their spots and everything. So
Yep. Give them a tape measure. Look, measure. Get it all planned out. I love it. That's fantastic. Great idea. For your online advertising, do you do Facebook ads, pay-per-click, or what is it that you do? If you don't mind sharing?
We are the lion's share of it is pay-per-click. We work pretty hard on being, one or two on when you do the search terms here in the Chicago market. And we do some Facebook. We're experimenting with Facebook right now. And it's as much as anything else, because the same people that are doing those searches are going to end up seeing them also on Facebook, just because of the lookalike audiences that we're creating on Facebook. And so it's reinforcement.
Yep, and it's good. And sometimes people have to see something 10 times before they click. Right. I hear it used to be 7 to 9 times. And that's why when you'd flip through a magazine, like we had those in the old days, you'd see Dove soap on 3 pages in a row or whatever. Right. But now I've heard it's as high as 15 times. Someone might have to see something before they finally click it. just has to keep
Sure.
hitting them. So you're getting that repeat branding every time that they see
That,
you.
and the neat thing with Facebook too is there is a component where once they do click on the ad, then you can engage in a conversation with them as well through Messenger.
Yes. Yeah.
And so those leads that come to us through Facebook, I think we've started to work through the process on a couple of them. I think the gestation period on the Facebook ads is going to be a little bit longer than the pay-per-click ads. If somebody's searching on pay-per-click at 3:00 in the morning, they really want to sell their house. So you're going to have a little bit more speed with those leads.
They're ready to take action, where Facebook, you're hitting them before they might be ready. But the great thing about that is, even if they're a longer gestation period, you were the first one, hopefully, they thought, oh, maybe I should sell my mom's house. Yeah, it's just sitting there.
Sure.
I need to clean that out. Maybe Mark can help me get it cleaned out and take
Well,
it
then
off my hands.
they start seeing the videos that we're doing too. So they'll see like, hey, we took this house and it looked like this, and now it looks like this. And so we try to put a video out with every, a couple of videos at least with every project that we do.
Awesome. Love it. You have been so great. You shared so many great ideas and things I hadn't even heard. That's awesome. I really appreciate your time today.
Oh, no problem. I wish I could tell you that that it's any of it is really original. It's all stuff that I've seen somewhere else, and I've stolen, copied, and if it's working for them, I'm going to put it into effect.
Amen, brother. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, so listeners, Mark has generously agreed to put together a little short tip sheet of how he has successfully found some of his off-market deals. So if you would like to get that tip sheet, you just go to hardhatholly.com/78. We're show number 78 today. So go ahead and go to hardhatholly.com/78, where you can just download his great tip sheet right there. Or if you prefer, if you're on your phone and you want to get it through a text, you just text hard hat, all one word with no spaces, to the number 38470. That's 38470, and you text hard hat to that, and we will be sure to send that to you, as well as give you a link to all of our past downloads. We've had awesome freebies from all of our guests the last, 30 shows or so. You guys should really take advantage of all this wealth of knowledge that our guests just so generously give. So Mark, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, and what's your website and all of that.
So my website is www.agaperealestate.com. So that's A, G as in gorilla, A, P as in Peter, E as in elephant, and then realestate.com. That's my website. Best phone number to reach me is 224-241-2274. Those last four things spell out cash. And
nice.
and then my email is Mark, M-A-R-K, at agaperealestate.com.
And what does agape mean, Mark?
Agape is a very biblical word that is God's love, God's unconditional love for us.
I love it. I love that you've incorporated that into your business and your website.
You know what's really cool is I've had more conversations about God because of that name with all kinds of different people, whether it be sellers or buyers, and a lot of different people. So it's great conversations.
And podcasters.
Podcasts are great.
You love it. Well, Mark, thank you so much. And if you guys have more questions or want to learn how you can work with Mark, or I'm sure there's lots of ways you can get involved with his company, or maybe even invest with you, right?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. That's probably one of our biggest focus right now is we're finding off-market deals. And we are also now more and more looking for private investors that would be interested in partnering with us on some of these deals, and where we can create a win-win situation for everybody.
Fantastic. So listeners, I haven't done due diligence on Mark, but I'm pretty impressed with him so far. So of course you need to do your own due diligence before you put your money with him. But so far it looks like a pretty promising place to invest. So
thank you very
definitely check him out. And if you've got some idle money sitting around, 401k money, IRA money that you're just like, okay, got to put this to work, give Mark a call or email and see what opportunities he has available for you.
That sounds great. Thank you.
With that, thank you so much for your time, Mark. And listeners, get out there, take some action, take some of these ideas, and move forward in your real estate investing ventures. Hey there, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like it and click subscribe to get notified of more videos. And you can go to hardhatholly.com for a free download on secrets to finding great deals.